Laura, could you give us insight into like where were you before you were in the band? What were you doing and what music you were making? Like what were you before being in the band?
Khruangbin is my first band.
Very first.
Very first band. So I got lucky first time. I played on a tour with my friend Yippa before I started the band, but I wasn't in his band. It was just, I just played for the tour. I'd been playing bass for maybe 6 months before I started Khruangbin. I was teaching math and I was meeting Mark and DJ for burgers and beer or Coca-Cola every Tuesday night for 3 years before I ever played bass. And yeah, and then I went on that tour, which was my first tour, and came off of it, looked at Mark, was like, I want to start a band and I want to do this forever. And we started making, Mark was actually playing drums initially because he really wanted to play drums, and I was playing bass, and we needed a third, and I needed somebody to push Mark off drums and behind the guitar. And DJ plays keys traditionally, and we've been having dinner every Tuesday with like, this is our third. And then it happened, and it took a few years before it kind of took. We started the band back in 2010, and we really weren't releasing and touring until 2016.
Yeah. Why did you have such a regular meetup time?
The guys had church rehearsal. They played gospel at St. John's Methodist in Houston. So after their rehearsal on Tuesdays, they would go to Rudyard's, our spot in Houston, and I started crashing. I crashed, and then I never stopped crashing, and I just assumed that they liked having me there.
How did you know that they're there? How did you how did you know? Or did you go to the church too, or what?
No, I started going afterwards, after I met them, but it was right around the time I met Mark, and he and I started hanging out, and he was like, just mentioned he was going to Rudyard's to come over, and yeah, it's like, I never asked DJ if it was okay, but, but I did ask him 3 years in, sitting at the bar over our burgers and tots, was like, you want to join our band?
3 years in. DJ, what did you do before the band?
I was a musician, kind of gun for hire, and also a producer. So I spent a lot of time playing at then when I met Mark first. I met Mark in I think around 2005, and we started playing at St. John's together. And I was a church musician. I still am a church musician. When I'm home, I actually play at the church I grew up in. But
wow,
yeah, that's what I did.
And were you, for 3 years, were you like, why aren't you formally inviting me into the band?
Well, I didn't know there was a band, and like they'd been going and recording stuff, and I guess I was just the guy that was around that happened to be there. I got lucky.
No, it was very specific. Mark was very specific about it, because Mark was playing drums and guitar essentially on these tracks that we're making. And I was like, I love you, Mark. You can play drums in another project, but you got to play guitar on this one, and we need to find a drummer. And he was very specific about wanting to make sure we found a drummer that understood space and dynamics and wasn't kind of a drum solo drummer. And he was like, I've never heard DJ play drums. I just know he can. And and it worked out.
And boy, did you pick the right drummer.
I know.
Just like
I had such a love affair with your drums this weekend, Deej. I was gonna write you, but your performance is so exceptional.
Oh, thank you.
What, since I
Great.
have both of you here, Laura, what do you think that DJ is best at in the band? What do you think is like his special skill in the band?
His superpower.
Yeah.
I mean, he grounds us musically and emotionally, I think. DJ's he's the foundation.
Yeah. It definitely, like, listening, that's how it feels, DJ really just like hold it down, and have such restraint, which I feel like restraint is like such a key in this band, to allow for a natural space. I think must be a really hard thing to do, but I think that you all do it so well, and I think it allows for a kind of like experimentation within the restraint and within, and like playing with like kind of the negative space of the music, I think what makes it really special.
It's humility,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And that's a really beautiful thing to have in every arena, and DJ oozes it. So yeah.
And DJ, what do you think Laura does in the band? What is her key?
Laura, the band would not exist if it were for Laura Lee. Laura is probably the most organized friend that I have. And she has a way of galvanizing us together to achieve a common goal. Because if it weren't for her ability to do that, we definitely wouldn't be here. And she's also very caring and the most loving person in the band, and she always makes sure that we're doing okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Deej. But it is funny though. I think about when I asked Deej if he would be in my band. I mean, he had no idea what he was getting himself into.
No clue.
It was like a delayed thing, because I asked him and then 5 years went by, and then I was like, hey, Deej, I need you to come to London. We're going to play all these shows. It's going to be great.
I love that you waited 3 years to ask him, and then he waited 5 to give you an answer. DJ, what is it like still drumming in the church band? What does that give you that Khruangbin doesn't?
I actually play organ when I'm at church.
Oh.
So, I guess it gives me a different musical perspective. And I'm able to, that's really the only time I really play keyboards is when I'm home at church. Unless I'm just, sitting here at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's my thing.
I've been once. It was very beautiful. It's like watching DJ be at home with his family, even versus the church that he was playing in when I met him.
Yeah.
It was really gorgeous. Also, it was really cool. I realized this the other day. So on the first record we put out with Leon Texas Sun, the last song is Conversion, and at the end of the song they go into a traditional church hymn, or what would you call it, Deej?
Yeah, that's a traditional hymn.
And I had never heard it, and so we recorded it. And then the first time I went to DJ's church, I actually heard it in the wild.
Wow.
And it was really special. Yeah.
You're like, I know that.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Exactly what she did. I looked out and she was like, this is it.
What's the dynamic that Leon brings to the group when you're doing stuff with him?
I mean
Leon is a timeless vocal. Like, he can literally sing the alphabet and it's gonna sound amazing.
So true.
Which is a challenge, because a lot of times when you're writing, like lyrically, sometimes when you know that someone's going to deliver, when that voice is delivering it, it can kind of be like, oh, this is good. It's going to sound great. It's Leon. And you really have to, we really have to challenge ourselves to dig deeper lyrically on the stuff that we helped write to say, okay, is this good? You know, if you take
Yeah.
it down to its basics, if you're reading this, is it still good? Because Leon's going to make everything sound amazing.
Yeah. I really on Mariella. So he'd written like, I guess maybe a verse to that song that he'd played on guitar, and we kind of captured it, and we decided we were going to try to expand that song and work on it and make it a song. And so before he came back in the studio, we hashed out the rest of the lyrics and kind of, we decided who Mariella was. We decided that was her name. And we kind of built this, painted this picture. Like some of the way he delivers some of those lines is like just heartbreaking. When he says, "I'll keep it here for you," I was like, oh God, my heart on the table.
Who did you decide she is?
I mean, whoever you hear her to be, but
Yeah,
it's just
in the song.
I'm not going to tell you who she is. You can, you know who she is, but it's just, it was really beautiful to watch those words come alive in that way, kind of having been with him and then watching him deliver them. But he's a world-class performer. I mean,
yeah,
dancing and singing, just let him do it.
Yeah. And so I like to end each interview with we've been playing your music for a long time, and I feel like I love thinking, what is this band listening to? And I would love to, because we play your song so often, to have your voice come in and essentially have you be like the DJ for a song and then play a song out of this interview. So Laura, what is a song recently that you've been really listening to a lot?
I've been listening to Shine by Cleo Soul.
And why that song?
It's like a lullaby.
Mm.
I like listening to songs that make me feel like I'm being rocked like a tiny baby. And that's one of those songs. I mean, I'm also, I think specifically over pandemic, listened to so much Cleo and Salt that her voice has kind of become comforting to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it feels like she's singing the song to a baby. So it's really like I'm being rocked.
I love that. Could you say the song name one more time?
Sure. The song is Shine by Cleo Soul.
Thank you. And DJ, what's a song that you have been listening to a lot recently?
I've been listening to A Feeling Is by The Emotions.
I do not know that band. Who's that band?
Their biggest song is Whoa, Whoa, You Got the Best of My Love. Whoa, whoa. That song.
Yes.
So yeah, this record was released in 1977, and of course, like that big song probably overshadowed everything else on the record, outside for their next biggest song on that record, which was "Don't Ask My Neighbor." But yeah, A Feeling Is it's one of those songs. It doesn't get a lot of burn, but it just feels good to me. Yeah, the drumming is amazing. I want to say on that record, hold on, I gotta look this up. I want to say James Gatson played drums on that record, who's famously played on a lot of I'm so terrible, man. I'm so sorry.
No, get it right.
I want to get all my facts straight, but yeah, James Gatson played on that record, and he just has this incredible feel,
Mm-hmm.
James Gatson's playing on Bill Withers' like "Use Me Up," if you know that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's what I've been listening to. Like I was jamming it. My wife and I were in the car the other day, and I just put on the Emotions and just wanted to listen all the way through that album. And yeah, it's the second song on the record, and it's a jam.
Also, what a great name for a band, The Emotions.
Emotions. Yeah, they're sisters. 3 sisters.
That's awesome. Well, DJ and Laura Lee, thank you so much for hanging out for a bit and giving me some insight on the band. And thanks for making so much great music through the years. And can't wait to see you when you come to town and hear more of it when you release it.
Thank you very much.
Right
Thank
on.
you so much.